Assalamu alaikum. I want to share a story with you. Okay. And this is actually a very, very difficult story for me to share with you because this is the story of pretty much the darkest days of my life and really the day and the period in which I hit rock bottom. Okay. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because there's many of you, pretty much every one of you that is listening to this video in your life to come, there's going to be a phase. If it hasn't come already, there's going to be a phase where you're going to hit rock bottom. That anything that could go wrong goes wrong. Your worst case nightmares and situations become a reality. Okay. And how do you deal with that? How do you move forward with that? How do you recover from that? And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. And that's the reason, because I've gone through something which was extremely difficult to deal with, and I managed to get through it. Okay. And that's why I'm sharing this video, so that you take those lessons and you're able to move forward with it and apply that into your own life, whether it's the past situations or situations that might come up in your future, in your life, or in your journey as an entrepreneur. Okay. So let me start off this story. So this story started off back in 2013. I was working for an Islamic charity organization, and at that point, for certain reasons, I made a decision, which is I wanted to become financially free. I wanted to make more money so that I wasn't relying on a job, and I was in a position where I can increase my money and really benefit charities and other projects that I wanted to. Okay. So I had this drive. It was a matter of the pain was strong enough, the decision was strong enough, the desire was strong enough, and my mind was just, I need to figure this out no matter what. Right. So I went on this journey of exploration, of research, of analyzing, of testing, of actioning, of failing, and also winning, right? I set up my business. I went out there, figured out the model that worked, and essentially what I had achieved was beyond my imagination, something that I could never ever dream that I could achieve, right? Especially coming from somebody that I literally failed throughout my whole academic journey. I was able to, from being a failure my whole life, to build a business that just done 1 million within its first year. Okay. And that just blew my mind away. Okay. And from there, building my first business that did over 1 million in sales within its first year, what ended up happening, and this was kind of unexpectedly, but I became a leader. Okay. And what I mean by that is that people saw my success. They knew who I was. And they saw an instant not necessarily an instant transformation, but a transformation over a period of time when it came down to business and money. So they came to me and say, look, what are you doing? Okay, can you help me? So what I started to do is help those people, and they started to get results. And I saw a huge snowball effect of just helping people, their lives changing, they're making money, they're becoming financially free, them working from home, to the point that it became an organization. Okay, it became a system, a setup, an organization, a company where I was helping people. And essentially that company, in regards to the people that I was helping, were collectively doing over 1 million in sales a month with their businesses. And this is not just me saying that. I've got video evidence. I've got all the proof that you could ask for. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that aspect is because of the fact that this is unprecedented, right? Especially for the Muslim community. Like for example, the main reason why I wanted to really support mainly the Muslim community at that stage is because I myself was working in a Muslim charity, right? So for me, I had this dream and desire that, helping more Muslims become more wealthy so that we can contribute more and really work more towards our akhirah, which is essentially our purpose in life, right? It's not just about having, a luxury lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that. We should aim to achieve that. But there's something beyond that community really connects with. And that was my personal vision and desire and motivation, right? And that's what I was achieving. Building this community. We were involved in charitable projects, really a huge success. My personal income went through the roof. My personal reputation went through the roof. I was on fire. This was essentially the best time in my life of success in every area. I was living my dream life, right? That was that. That was an amazing achievement within a very short period of time. By just me making a decision and taking massive action, I was able to achieve amazing results, not for myself, but for the community, and at the same time working for my akhirah. What more can you really ask for, right? Now, at that time, I was pretty young, okay, and inexperienced, and there were certain decisions that maybe, now I wouldn't necessarily do, okay? And one of those decisions was that I was around people that, at that time I made my first million, happy days, right? But I was around people that, were making tens of millions, okay, even more than that. I met people within the hundreds of millions. And for me, um, I made my first million, but I wasn't happy. Okay, I know that sounds crazy, but when I look back, I just wasn't satisfied. And obviously in Islam, we know that, right? Like, you can give a mountain of gold to somebody, they're going to win another one. Okay. But for me, it was just because of the fact that I saw other people achieving far more. So my goal was like, okay, I need to achieve that. I need to achieve that lifestyle instead of what I'm achieving now. And so on and so forth. So what I felt, at that time is maybe I need to change my strategy, maybe look into something different and really maybe offer something different to this community. And that's when I partnered up with two other individuals. One who had a background in building a successful business that, hit over $1 million itself. And this individual had a lot of energy. He was taking certain actions to really support this community. And for me, it wasn't about, me versus you or making this as a business thing. I thought, what, we're doing the same thing. Let's just support each other. Let's work with each other. The other was known to be a high net worth individual, an investor, and somebody at a much higher level. So for me, that was really my golden ticket if he was to work with me, for me to get from where I am now to get to the tens of millions, essentially, right? So we had an agreement together that, let's call them partner one and partner two, that we were going to work together to launch a new project, okay? And there was a decision made that they were going to launch it under the platform that I had set up for the Muslim community. And what happened is that partner two, the high net worth individual, was the kind of thinker, the visionary who had a vision on creating a community, using the community to launch one business at a time, and really leveraging the power of that community to really launch a business that scales much further than anyone else because the community is supporting it. Okay, and it was a really powerful and very interesting concept. And that's what we moved forward with. The first partner ended up becoming the director of the company, managing the finance, the team, the hiring, and so forth. And my responsibility was essentially, my skill set has always been actioning and launching. So whatever was needed to be launched, I would be the person that builds the funnels, the marketing, and all that aspect, right? So point being is that the second partner, who was the visionary, he made a decision and kind of, I can't remember if it was collectively or not, but there was a decision made that, look, this is a project that we've never done before. No one's done it, in fact. There's going to be roadblocks, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be a learning phase. So what we will do is, we will do something that I don't think anyone does, right? Which is a 12-month refund guarantee, okay? That if you're not happy within 12 months, just ask for your money back and we'll give you money back. And we were pretty much fine and comfortable with that, okay? But after that 12 months, we're in it for the long term and we'll work together. Now, the first year, within that 12 months didn't necessarily go to plan. And the reason why is because the partner number two, who was the visionary, the person that brought in the plan, had to change the plan over a time due to certain reasons, okay? And that resulted in us not really achieving what we initially set out to achieve within that first year, which is okay, it's fine, okay? And what then happened is that we were set on the process, we were moving forward, and, at that point, anybody that wanted a refund, they understood where we were, they were able to request a refund and they got a refund. Anybody who understood where we were and were committed to the long-term project, they carried on and they didn't ask, for example, a refund within that 12-month refund period, okay? So we will carry on, things were moving forward, we put a plan in place, we did a whole audit to improve and carry on executing. It wasn't an overnight success, it was something that we were really putting a lot of effort in, and at this time, I put in pretty much my whole life into this, right? I hadn't that other business that I initially launched. I essentially gave it away so that I can put my focus and attention on this. That initial, hundreds of thousands of pounds that I had made and put together, prior to this specific project, I put it all into this. I believed in it that much that I put my life on it. Okay, I put everything into it, my finances, my time, my effort. I was fully involved into making this a successful project, right? Now, this is when things went south and things took a really dark turn, which is that both of these partners that I had ended up having a massive dispute. Okay, they ended up a massive dispute because partner number one had an external project that was kind of interconnected to some point. And essentially, I wasn't involved, but those two were kind of launching that project on the side. And there was a massive financial dispute in regards to that, on how the money was used and how the money was dealt with. And I realized there was this dispute. I tried to come in the middle to try to rectify it that I could, but I realized this is far beyond my control. Okay. And at that time, business disputes, partners disputes are very common. They're known. And essentially at that time, what could have happened is bring somebody in, maybe you've taken a legal course or whatever the case may be. But what partner decided to do was pretty much catastrophic. Okay. He went online to the public and essentially said that essentially partner number 2, he's got reasons to believe that he is committing fraud, okay, doing some sort of Ponzi scheme in regards to, and how he set things up is in regards to a Ponzi scheme, how he's structuring the money, and essentially that consists of some sort of fraud or maybe possible illegal activity, right? So he made an allegation. Now, as you can imagine, the chaos that would come about, right? Number one, the project already wasn't going the way we ideally initially wanted it to go. Okay. We put a plan in place, but we were moving forward. Number 2 is that the refund period is over and that's done and dusted with. But those people that decided to carry on are now panicking. Okay. Where a member, these people that are, have committed their own personal wealth to be part of a project. They put in their savings, they put in money that they've saved up, and now they're in a position where they're being told by one of the head of the project that there's a chance that this could be fraudulent, right? And that whatever the case is, there's some potential fraud being done. It caused massive chaos, massive uproar. People wanted their money back, so on and so forth. And it was a massive disaster because those people their commitment levels were either they were patient to see, what is the outcome, or they were in a position where they were panicking and causing chaos with, the online aspect as well, right? Now, what ended up happening is that this partner number 1, to put further pressure on partner number 2, he connected with the local news companies that write local newspapers, and essentially, shared his version of the story, claiming that, there could be a fraud, Ponzi scheme within, not necessarily just connected to my project, but mainly the external project that they were both involved in, and maybe kind of, may have impacted the project that I was involved in, right? Now, at this point in time, no one was blaming me. Okay, no one was saying, oh, Haroon has done some fraud or he has scammed anyone in any way, shape or form. And the simple reason is because I never took any money from the project. Okay, like for example, I never took a salary at all. I did have some funds coming in other avenues, so I decided not to take a salary. I myself put in every penny that I had to make this project a success. And because of that, obviously, it makes sense that no one was necessarily blaming me. I wasn't even in control over the financial aspect at that point, right? However, the fact that I was part of the project, I was essentially being added as a name within the content. Okay, so kind of like collateral damage here. Like these two guys have a dispute. Oh, by the way, this guy's involved as well, right? So what then ended up happening is the project went south. It took a major hit. And for me personally, this is when my own, and this is where I really want you to connect with here is, and maybe see how it could affect your life, is this became the darkest time in my life because I literally lost everything. Okay. First and foremost, I lost my reputation because of the fact that, I was potentially being associated with potential fraud in some manner. So the community that I had built and had so much success with now had a perception that maybe this individual is something else. Okay. So my reputation took a massive hit. Okay. The company that I initially built up for this and the success I got went to dust. Okay. That went to complete dust. Okay. Thirdly, I literally put every penny that I had, hundreds of thousands of pounds, into this project, and again, lost it, right? So I was in a position where I went from being able to go into a Lamborghini showroom and not just buy a Lamborghini, but say, how many Lamborghinis do I want to buy today, right? From being in a position where I was struggling to even afford a milkshake, an Oreo milkshake, okay? And emotion, obviously financially, it was a huge disaster for me personally, but also it brought me to my darkest days. I had a high level of anxiety, of stress, of depression, and really it took the happiness out of my life. I wasn't living. My brain was somewhere else all the time. I wasn't able to live in the moment because I just had this thing inside me that just was, I couldn't control, that was just giving me that anxiety, stress, because I was losing everything, and at the same time I'm trying to save the situation in the best way I possibly could. But it was a difficult battle, right? And it was a point that it was really, really struggling for me. I lost everything, and at the same time I had a massive amount of guilt and stress and sadness that those people that were involved in the project, that put their money into this, that they would be feeling, obviously they're not in the position where they lost hundreds of thousands, but they would have had emotional distress and maybe lost some finances at that point in time, right? So I had that kind of feeling of disappointment, self-doubt, anxiety. All these elements were there. Okay, I was in the darkest space of my whole life, right? And put it this way, that's an understatement. Let's just take it that way. I don't want to go too deep into it. But I made a point that, look, at the end of the day, if you're in a fire and your house is on fire, or you're in a room which is on fire, you need to focus on the exit. Okay, you need to focus on where is it that you're looking to go? Where is it that you're wanting, how do you get out of the fire? You look for the exit and you run towards the exit. And for me, it was about just accepting where I was and focus on rebuilding myself back up. Okay, pushing myself back up and getting myself back in a position where I'm winning again and rebuilding from there. And essentially what ended up happening is I was trying all these things out, and it just was failing. And it was a really strange time because prior to this, everything I touched turned to gold. Okay, I was making a decision there, money's being made. It was easy for me. And now I was in a position where months were going by and I was just failing. Anything I tried, I just was failing. Okay, I just really was struggling, and I was kind of getting some small wins and so on and so forth. And something interesting happened. Okay, this was a moment where things really changed for me. I went to visit my parents, and my dad did something very different that he's never really done before. Okay, he kind of took me to a side. He took me to my front sitting room. No one else was there, and he sat with me. And he obviously knows I was going through some challenges, right? And he obviously, like any father, would have certain concerns and stuff. But he was like, "How are things going?" and so on and so forth, and whatnot. And one of the things he said to me was that he in fact, what he ended up doing, he started sharing his story. And he started saying, look, when I came here, I was a bus driver, right? Then I built my business, and there was chances for partnerships that I had that went sour, and there were good decisions I made at the time. And I went from this, and he just started sharing his whole life story and his journey with me. And I found it really strange and odd because he's never really done that before. But I think he was trying to just say, look, life is going to happen. Whatever you're going through, you'll get through it, and just focus on moving forward, essentially, right? You've got a journey in life, you're living it, and this is my example. And he was a businessman, he built a business, and he had his challenges, and those were the things he was sharing, and he said move on. Now the week later, I get a phone call, and essentially it was from my sister saying, look, dad's gone into hospital, and my whole family had caught COVID at that time. And obviously my dad being more unwell, it hit him much more than anyone else. And some period of time went on, and, the COVID went essentially more, well, it impacted him a lot more. And unfortunately, he passed away. Okay, not too long after that last meeting I had with him, he passed away. And, that was because of the whole COVID situation that was happening. And for me, it was obviously, like with anyone, losing a parent was difficult. It was a challenging period. And when it came down from my work, like opening my laptop, I just couldn't open up my laptop. Like, it was the first time, maybe a year and a half would have went by this stage, and I was struggling with my business side, and I just couldn't do anything now. I was just shut down. I was like, I couldn't open my laptop. I couldn't even press a button, right? So obviously I went through a bit of time. I gave myself space, and then the time came for me to just open up my laptop, do one thing, tried to build that momentum. And at that time, I was also in discussion with one of my very close cousins as a partner into a project that I was looking to focus on back into the e-commerce space, because I knew that, I had succeeded in e-commerce back in the day, and that is where I got success. So I needed to move forward, right? And essentially, the strangest thing happened. The month prior to, obviously after this happened and me getting back in action and getting back into the business, the amount of money that I made in that 1 month was more money I made in the whole year prior to that. Okay. It just blew up. Okay. And I was in shock, and I'm like, how did this happen? What was different? And I realized for me, I think the main difference was the mindset, in the sense that before I was operating in a space of stress, depression, anxiety, in a space of self-doubt, in a space of not believing, in a space of guilt, in a space of all these kind of negative emotions, right? And by my dad passing away, it made me just disconnect from that, realizing that at the end of the day, we're all going to come and go, okay? We're going to leave our life. We're going to go through ups and downs. Allah mentions that in our life, He's going to test us in different ways, including loss of wealth, okay? Loss of different aspects. We're going to get tested. And at the end of the day, this life doesn't really matter, okay? We're going to come and go. It's like, it's a short journey. So look, I need to stop being the victim. I need to stop feeling all those emotions, and I need to draw the line and move forward and have a clear mind and move forward and start again. At the end of the day, if I was in a position where I took a bunch of money and lived a luxury lifestyle with, other people, with the point of other people being harmed and stuff like that, that's completely wrong. But I was, out of the whole situation, I was the one that suffered the most, right? So I needed to draw the line, irrelevant of what other people's perceptions or thoughts were with me, and I needed to start again. And I went all out with that fresh mindset, and alhamdulillah, since then business has been growing and it's been booming. And essentially the same journey is happening, where people are now coming to me saying, look, now I see that you're looking at some different strategies than you were doing in the past, and it's working. Can you now help me out? And that's where I'm supporting other people and going back into my foundation and really building myself back up, in the sense of, building that confidence, building that foundation, supporting other people, and then using that, inshallah, not just to increase the quality of my life, but also doing as much good I can for my akhirah. And anything I do, inshallah, will also be rewarded for my dad as well, as good deeds as well, right? Now, so that's where I'm moving forward. I went through that stage, and there was times when I thought I could never get out of this. I was in so much doubt and so forth. But you're going to go through situations, and maybe you are right now, you're not happy with your life. And I would just say to you, look, if you're in that position, things will get better, okay? No matter how hard it is, no matter how long you've been trying, as long as you never give up, okay, you will succeed what you want to succeed in life, okay? And essentially what ended up happening is even more crazy, okay? Because in that whole period, the two partners that had this massive dispute, partner number one, who made allegations against partner number two decided to take partner number one to court, okay, and essentially sue him for those allegations. And essentially what ended up happening is, and it was a good thing in the sense that now this gave partner number one the opportunity to come up with any proof and evidence he may have, and really get a conclusive decision on whether something illegal or wrong had been done, right, by partner number two. And what ended up happening is that partner number one had to go online and make a public statement, essentially denouncing what he had mentioned. He essentially denounced what he had mentioned in regards to the online content that he produced. He said he was wrong. He apologized and essentially closed the case there. So here's what he said. What he said is, in a personal statement I made on Facebook on the 9th of December 2018, I accused partner 2, who was involved to a startup I was involved in, and somebody else who was the director, of stealing funds from the business and running it as a Ponzi style fraud. I now wish to withdraw those allegations and apologize to the people that it was mentioned for the distress and embarrassment which my statement caused. I have since accepted that whatever my misgivings at the time, there was no proper basis for me to allege that either committed serious criminal offences or behaved dishonestly. So essentially, that obviously caused a major issue for everyone and so forth. And it wasn't even based upon any evidence or factual proof, which a judge could say a conclusive yes to, right? And that for me is even more of a sadness. But at the same time, the positive aspect that comes from that is to say that at the end of the day, anybody that even may have had a slight inkling of doubt on myself, in the situation is completely blown out of the water. It's moved on. It's moved away. Okay. So really, the main thing is from there, that second partner essentially said, look, those members that carried on past the 12 months, obviously many of them were upset or distressed in the situation and maybe decided not to carry on. Those that did want to carry on and move forward, he would support them in certain ways, and he had a plan in place on how to support those members moving forward. And in the same way for me, with the project that I'm running with the ecom experts, anybody in that community that wants to come on board and get up and running with a business set up and move forward with what is working right now, I've got the open doors to support those people and have been doing so, and I'm going to commit further to doing so. And for me, I don't even want to charge for that. I'm happy to use my own finance and resources to support those people move forward if they decide that they want to do that. Okay. And that's for those people not in a position where I need to do that, but I understood in the same way that I had a lot of emotional distress with the situation. I know those people were impacted, although, this wasn't necessarily because of factors that I was involved in, but at the end of the day, I did try my best to resolve the matter and the dispute and the situation. But, at the end of the day, I want to still carry on doing my best for those people with whichever means and ability that I can do at this moment in time, right? So there's a few lessons that I personally got from this. Number one is, I realized that anybody that I've seen succeed in life, they've gone through the same thing, okay? And, one bad chapter in your life doesn't mean it's a bad book, okay? Many of my friends that are multimillionaires, successful individuals have shared their story of their worst time, of business breakdowns, of reputations, of content being made, of allegations, and all these things. And the people that I follow as authorities and mentors, within the business space, and I look at their story and I listen to their story, they went through the same things, okay? And for me, if I could turn back time and change everything and maybe, not make those situations or decisions or mistakes, I wouldn't change it. And the reason why is because it has made me who I am today, okay? I'm in a position where I had to decide and be in a position where I lost everything, and either I be depressed about that or accept it and be happy. And really, I realized that is where true richness comes from. When you're happy with nothing, anything you get beyond that, you're rich and you're happy and you're satisfied, right? If you're driving up a car that's worth couple of £100 compared to a couple of thousand, 20,000, whatever it is, if you're happy both ways, how can you lose, right? And that is what I realized, that if you remember, I said to you, I made my first million, and at that point I was not happy. Allah had to take that all away for me to realize how to be happy, right? So that's one massive lesson I got. Second thing, I realized that I was really much in my early days a slave to what people thought of me, okay? Like, I wanted the nice car, I wanted the nice clothes, I wanted all of that, and show on Instagram and this, that, because I wanted people to like me and be like, wow, look, he's so cool, right? And that's just a normal human trait. But I realized that when people were attacking me because they thought of me in a certain way, I had to really diffuse myself from not just, people that don't like me and not let that affect me, but even those that did like me and do like me, not, even to take that with a pinch of salt. Like, don't be enslaved with people, whether they like you or not, right? At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is your creator's perception of you and what you're doing in front of your creator. And if Allah essentially judges us, whether we're good or bad, right? That is what matters at the end of the day. So that was a huge lesson of divorcing myself from the desires of the worldly materialistic things. I'm not saying you don't aim for those things, but not being a slave to needing those. The second thing is not being a slave to being liked or disliked by people, just to moving forward from that. And just number three, just enjoying the moment, okay? Making every day your every moment the best you possibly can. Look, the past is gone. We all made mistakes. We've all hurt people. We've all been hurt by people, but it's done and dusted, and it can't affect us unless we mentally let it affect us, right? The second thing is, the anxiety and the stress and depression that I might have about the future. I realized that all the things that I had stressed and built in my head never happened, right? So realize, forget about the future, okay? Be content with what you have now, whatever it is. If you're in a difficult situation, it will, no matter what, it will be fine. It will be okay, no matter how bad it is, right? So just enjoy your moment. Enjoy your time with the kids, your family. Enjoy your business. Have fun, grow, succeed. If you fail, it's okay. You bring yourself back up and just enjoy your life, okay? And essentially from there, inshallah, you can focus your vision and attention that you're enjoying your life and start working to succeed in, and, focus on your akhirah and building that up. And that's what really matters at the end of the day, because we're going to come and go in this life. It's going to be nothing, okay? When you put a needle in the ocean, that little drop is the dunya compared to the ocean, which is the akhirah, right? So don't take life so seriously. Move forward, move on from it, succeed, enjoy your life. And if you're not living a life that you're really loving and enjoying, take a step back and make it. Enjoy your life, no matter what your situation is or your circumstances is. You deserve it, okay? So look, I just wanted to share that with you. This is my story of how I hit rock bottom, and I hope you benefited from that. Assalamu alaikum.